Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I'm here with another Kickstarter you should check out if you are interested. We're going to take a look at Primal The Awakening. Now, this says it's a fully cooperative deck crafting boss battler board game featuring card-driven tactical combat and large-scale miniatures. Basically, this seems to be kind of like Monster Hunter, the board game, and you guys will see that. So we're going to do what we usually do, watch the little intro video, and then we'll go through the Kickstarter and show all the pieces of it. So let me expand this out, hit play for you.
We knew the danger. We always knew. It's been 9 years since our expedition landed in the continent of Thyria, our new home. But now, the world has changed. The sages call it the Awakening. The forge burns day and night, fueled by the fire of our fears. Ancient threats are upon us, and prophecies state the end will not be long in coming. Our fight for survival has begun. Ready for the hunt?
So the video is cool and all, but it doesn't really show you much of the game itself. I mean, you see, what the game kind of looks like, the components, but that's about it. I like games that have or videos rather, that have a little bit of the gameplay in it. But that's all right. There's plenty of videos that you can look up. A lot of preview copies were sent out. And just as you guys can see over here, the project is fully backed. Over 7,000 backers already. 11 days to go. They did a short Kickstarter. Usually they run them about 30 days. This one was short. I think it was a 14-day Kickstarter. Kind of wrong. I don't know. I would like to see him do it longer. Give people time, because even I try to keep track of this stuff as much as I can. Plenty of Kickstarters slip through my fingers that I miss. So I would like them to run them as long as they can. People have the whole FOMO thing, fear of missing out. So you don't want to miss it. Let's go over the pledges real quick. They've got the usual, the pledge without a reward, which I don't know why anyone would do that. And pledge the $1 or more to get access to the Kickstarter, which is what I might end up doing because I can't afford it right now. As you guys can see, the Kickstarter is just wholly expensive. Almost $170 for the base game. And that is the core pledge, which is just the game and what is it? Yeah, stretch goals. So core game and stretch goals are $170, which honestly I think is way too expensive. And then there's the all-in, which is $300, which adds some expansions to the game. You guys can see, and I'm not going to expand this because we're going to scroll through it, but it does have obviously the core game and then the 5th player expansion, which isn't really 5th player expansion. It's just a couple more characters that can be played. So the base game only comes with 4 hunters, and the 5th player expansion adds 2 other hunters. So you can add an extra player to the game. And then, what is it, 3 or 4? Yeah, 3 it looks like. 1, 2, 3. Extra expansions that add just more like boss creatures. Because there's no just generic creatures in this game. It's all bosses that you're doing battle with, which is fine because the Monster Hunter series has done very well, video game. And again, these two aren't connected, obviously, but they do kind of reminisce with each other. Now, Monster Hunter does have smaller monsters, but basically you're battling the bosses. This has nothing but bosses. They did have one other Kickstarter pledge you could do, which was the early bird. I'm not a huge fan of early bird ones because it kind of jades people who miss it. Like if you didn't see it within the first 24 hours, well, then you have to spend a few dollars more. And it's not a big discount anyway. It only saves you about $15 or so, which when you're talking about the amount, $300. I mean, it's just just outrageous. I would rather see them offer a version of the game that doesn't have minis. A lot of companies have gone down that road. Gloomhaven, Frosthaven has a smaller amount of minis, or what are the standees, the cutouts. Instead, I would love to see more companies going down this route rather than just having the high end expensive version. And yeah, the minis look great. We're going to see that as we scroll through. I mean, these minis do look great. They look like they're resin. They really don't look like plastic minis, which is, cool. But a lot of people can't afford it. And especially in the times we're living in now, where a lot of people are losing their jobs, a lot of people's hours are getting cut, whatever the case may be, you can't go out as much as you used to be able to. So staying at home with a board game is, more appropriate in today's world. A lot of people are getting into gaming, and then you're going to put out this expensive ass game on top of it. And I know I'm harping on it, but look at this. I mean, you got 12 boss monsters. That's it. And then 4 hunters for the base game. All right. So what are we talking about? 16 minis total for what? Almost $200, especially when you add in shipping. I've backed Kickstarters for well less than that. Actually, I just got in the Bloodborne Kickstarter, and I think I spent under $100 on it, and 4 boxes full of minis. Now, I'm sure these are a higher quality mini and probably a little bigger than the ones that came with Bloodborne. It's not a fair comparison per se, but the point is it could be done cheaper. I would rather them be plastic or, whatever option there is to kind of bring this price down, because I think they're just shooting for the highest end. I'm sure the components are going to be great, across the board. All right, for the price they're charging, they probably went top end, which, I can appreciate, because when you open up that box and you see all these components and they're all nicer than hell, you're all like, oh yeah, that was so cool. But it doesn't matter if only a handful of people are able to get it, because too many of the others aren't able to afford it. Like, I would love to get this game, but I'm probably not going to end up getting it because I just doubt I'll be able to afford it. Let's just take a look, though. And yes, that's me being jaded, but I am, like I said, being fair. I'm showing the game because the game does look cool, and I think a lot of people would be interested, and I want to put it out there just so more people who might have missed, the Kickstarter going on can have their chance to get it. Core set is going to be this Primal box here. 17, oh, excuse me, I was off by 1 because it does have the XL monster. So 4 hunters, 12 monsters, and then 1 extra large monster, which is the dragon looking thing here. 1,200 plus cards. You guys are going to see some of those as we scroll through. And then 30 plus terrains, tokens, quest board, combat, rulebook, the usual stuff. And the hunters are pretty much the stereotypes you would expect if you've played Monster Hunter. So you've got the great sword hero here, who's got his big bone sword, looks really awesome. And then we've got the great bow. Everything is real Asian looking with the huge oversized weapons that just look so cool, like you would expect them to be attacking a big monster with it. I mean, awesome stuff. And you got to admit, the minis look cool. And they are the bigger scale. These are 35 millimeter scale versus like the 28 millimeter scale. So they are going to be a little bit bigger, which is going to attribute to some of that cost. I like this guy here, the hammer, big, huge stone, great hammer. Looks awesome. Viking looking beard going on with the guy. Action cards, hunter board, mastery cards. Not sure what all of them do, but the basic gist, I think, is going to be an upgrade type system where you upgrade your abilities and then you upgrade. And you see here, it says base and upgrades. Same for both of these. Where you're going to be upgrading not only your character, but also your equipment. And then there's another that looks like the tanky type guy. So it's like 2 DPS and there's 3 DPS. There's 2 melee DPS, 1 range DPS, and then 1 tank here with the sword and shield. Yeah, I like the sword shield. He looks cool. I mean, smaller weapon, but huge shield, so good stuff. And then, obviously, all the big boss monsters. Again, there will be no small monsters. All bosses that you'll be fighting. It looks like each one of them will have their boss board, which I think these probably they should be cardboard cutouts like the tokens versus like a card stock mat with the amount that they're charging. Now, I'm not sure, but I'm thinking it should be along those lines. And then obviously each one of them are going to have their own card deck that explains their behavior and how they're going to fight, because this game does not have the usual like big map where you're moving around. Think something like Kingdom Death Monster that has a lot more spaces on the board. If you see these cards here, it shows the arena is just a circle with 4 quadrants, and that's it. That's the movement for the game. So I would definitely recommend watching some videos of people who have had a chance to preview and play the game to see how that combat's going to work. This is a cool looking monster. Toramat. Big, like, Asian kaiju looking monsters. If you're into that stuff, I think you're definitely going to enjoy this game. Big hammer looking head on him. Another dragon looking one. Digrax. Ooh, that does look cool. I like him. And let's see, Morkaras, if I'm pronouncing that right. That's a Godzilla looking one. Big lizard looking monster with like purple crystals on him. And we've got Felixar. Something like that. Wolf looks kind of like Fenrir with crystals, and a crab monster, Korawan. Awesome looking stuff. And Aruxin looks like another kind of dragon wannabe. Ooh, 4 wings on him. That's kind of cool. I like that. And ooh, what is this? Azu, something like that. Big bug looking monster with pincers coming off of him. I like that one. Ooh, that green does look cool on that one. And rhino looking guy here, Jekaros. And it's kind of like a rhino with a big tail. I mean, all the stereotypical kaiju looking monsters you would expect. This one almost looks like just a normal lizard. Well, kind of like a lizard mixed with a wolf, maybe. And Teragawa. I have no idea how to pronounce that one. That's just a funky looking beast monster with some type of like shielded head. And then it didn't show the XL one, or I might have saw it without realizing what it is. And this kind of explains that there is crafting, because obviously you're going to upgrade your equipment. And I'm going to reference Monster Hunter again. Sorry if you guys haven't played it, so you don't understand what I'm talking about. But I'm anticipating that the game will go on the same premise that Monster Hunter did, that you start with your base weapons, and then you upgrade them to copper, and then you go to iron, and then you go to, this type of bone, that type of bone, this type of crystal, whatever it is. Let's see, I think someone wrote this down. Yeah, we got fire weapon cards, fire armor cards, fire helm cards. This is horn helm, horn weapons. And you see it's got the greatsword, the bow, the hammer, the sword and shield. These are the crystal weapons and armor that you can upgrade to. And then what is this? Coral. So all of the different types of monsters will give you different types of components that can be upgraded into your team. Now, it would be cool to see the team where you've got some of your guys using like fire weapons and some of your guys using crystal weapons and, stuff like that to kind of maximize your abilities, to focus on the weaknesses of certain monsters. That would be cool. I'd like to see them have something like that. Here we've got thunder, so lightning type weapons, and metal. Iron. I guess this would just be the iron version of it. And it looks like you kind of upgrade it as you go. You start with like a base version, then you upgrade it, and then upgrade it again. And it's the most beastly looking version with all the cool looking spikes all over it. And then the alchemist part of the game, I'm assuming, is going to give you things like potions, bombs, healing sprays, all that stuff. Has something listed down here, but it's just a little too small for me to zoom in to see. And then the Awakened. Okay, here it is. This is the XL monster. 145 millimeter scale. So this is the big, huge boss dragon, which I'm assuming you got to defeat so many monsters before you can take him on. Or there is a campaign to the game, which is interesting. Quest board. So you got quest board, quest cards, contract cards, which really, again, takes me back to Monster Hunter, where you're taking contracts to go after these guys. This is the combat board I was talking about earlier. And you guys can see that it only has 4 quadrants in it. It's, a circle, divide it into 4, and you're going to move your guys around, but the monster's always going to be in the center. So the thing of it is going to be, what direction is the monster facing? What direction are you hitting? Are you hitting from the front, the back, the flank on your combat, right? That's going to be the epitome of it, is trying to position your guys, your hunters, into the right places to hit the monster in its weak point without the monster beating your butt or eating your head. A bunch of tokens, which you would expect, rulebook, and character sheets. I would assume these are for like saving or keeping track of your stats as you're going along. And then we get into some of the expansions. This is the one I mentioned earlier, 5th player expansion, which does add 2 hunter classes, which I think is almost like a guarantee, because you're not going to want to miss out on stuff that looks like this. We've got Kara, dual blade, cool looking, awesome blades on her. That looks really cool. I really want to have that one. And the upgrade cards, obviously, with all the different types that you just saw in the base set for all the different blades. And then we have Heavy Gun, Hellerin, and she looks kind of like a Viking with a big gun. It looks like a gun with a bow like built into it. Really cool looking stuff. Love the big Gatling gun. And like I said, I know I keep referencing Monster Hunter all the time, but all the weapons just stink of that. And the other games in that genre as well, where the weapons are massive. They're as big as the character, and it, just everything's over the top. That's what this game is really embracing. And then you see all the upgrade cards for all the different types: the metal, the thunder, the coral, coral, not copper, crystal, and all the other good stuff. It looks like some of them are like sniper variants instead. Really cool. And then we have the expansions, which add 1 or 2 monsters to them, and then all the cards that you will need to implement those monsters into your game, which I think are going to add, obviously here, new weapon cards, new elements, so you can have monsters that bring new types of weapons for your own characters, new types of armors. We'll kind of scroll past some of these, and you can see some of those cards here if you want to pause the video, or obviously go check out the campaign for yourself. Mists of Uraburo, another one, adds another couple of monsters. Looks like a big bug looking monster on that one. So Hydrar and Reichel. That's a big snake looking thing. I like that. The models are excellent. Definitely got to give it to them. I mean, the models are excellent, but if they had a version of the game that I could get for like $100 that replaced the models with, or I'd say more like $80, replace the models with just standees instead, I'd go for it. I'd jump on it in a heartbeat, and I think they really should give people the option for it. And the last expansion here, Frost expansion, also adds another couple of monsters to it. Let's see. Frost looking things here. And the Murik. Cool looking monsters. Definitely love them. I love everything about the game. I just think that they're not giving enough options to the people who can back. And they even got a little section here talking about why back now. And people definitely buy for this reason here, right in the middle, exclusive content. Because if you wait for retail, you don't know for sure that it will go to retail. And then if it does, that you're paying more and you're getting less, because you're not going to get any of the stretch goals that come along with the game, or any of the extra little freebies that get tossed in. Really don't like that. I really would like to have seen the game have standees so they could just bring down that cost a little bit, because I mean, the materials are great. The models look excellent. But I've got models coming out of my ears. I mean, I love games like this, and I know everyone else is the same way. They've got a stack of models that need to be painted or assembled, or whatever the case may be. And you might get more games if you had the option to get them without having to get all the models. So that's why I think Gloomhaven just exploded as much as it did, because the box was full of game. It had enough models to make you happy, because you're obviously moving your characters around the board, but by having standees for the enemies and models, just regular miniatures for your own characters, you only had to worry about painting a handful for the game. And then they were able to have so many more types of enemies and bosses and characters in that game because they didn't have to have a miniature for each one of those characters, right? And some of the games try to mix that by having certain types of enemies or spirits or summons or whatever it is as a standee, but have the rest be miniatures. And then you're kind of like, you don't really want to use the standee because the miniatures look better. So you really got to go one way or the other. I think Gloomhaven nailed it. And again, you see here the all-in bundle on what you're going to get. This is just the core box and then the all-in. And honestly, if I get this, and that's only if I am able to scratch up some money somehow, it would be getting the core pledge and just adding on the 5th player expansion to get the extra couple of hunters to choose from, and wouldn't even worry about the other minis on it. Because look at this, if you add everything in, 2 minis per box, right? You got 2 hunters and then 2 monsters per box. So that's 8 minis, and 8 minis are doubling the price of the game, right? You're going from roughly 170 to what it'd say 303, I think, over here. Yeah, about $304. So roughly doubles the cost of the game for this. And I understand there's production costs for the box, for all the good stuff, the images, everything that goes on there. But I think maybe they went too high end with it. Maybe they could have scaled it back just a little bit and some of the components to make the game more cost effective. And normally I wouldn't be pushing so hard on the cost, but I really do think a lot of it has to do with the times. You have to consider what time frame you're trying to launch this campaign. We are just after Christmas, so everybody just did their Christmas shopping, right? Tax season's going on, so some people might be getting taxes back, but that's not going to be for a little while. And then you got what I mentioned earlier with COVID going on. Some people having a hard time finding work. Some people having a hard time getting enough hours at work. And a lot of people stuck at home. So it's the time of board games. Absolutely. People do want to have cool, fun games to occupy themselves when they are stuck at home more. But they don't have the huge amounts of excess funds, not fun, but funds to dump into a $300 board game. Primal's trying to almost market itself as like the next coming of Kingdom Death Monster. And Kingdom Death Monster had a lot more minis in the box for the amount that you were paying. I mean, they're very high end. I've got Kingdom Death Monster. The miniatures are excellent. I mean, really top quality miniatures. But you pay through the nose for them, right? I think Primal might have shot too high on this. And then add-ons listed down here, which are just the all-in expansions, which you can see it's about $30 for this one. So it'd be roughly $200 if you wanted to do the base game and the 5th player expansion for the extra couple of hunters. Because the extra monsters are cool and all, but you've already got, 12 monsters in the core box as it is. You might not even get around to some of these. So I think this could almost be skipped if you wanted to try to do it like the most cost effective way to get the right amount of content and the right content. You have plenty of monsters in the core box, I think, to play. And then try to pick these up maybe later down the line off of eBay or retail if it comes to retail. You pick them up one at a time or so. And then stretch goals are kind of funny. They did it almost like a monster hunt, and I'm not sure I really like the way that they do that, because this game's made over $1 million. It's almost $2 million in backing right now, and only 2 stretch goals have been unlocked. One with new equipment and one with a new scenario. This is trying to unlock a new monster, but they're doing it in such a way that you have to do this hunt event. And when you go check it out, it's basically doing the social media thing where you're liking and sharing their content on Facebook and Instagram, and it does damage to this monster. And you have to do like 15,000 points worth of damage to this. And I think a like gets you 5 or 10 points. So they are asking for a buttload of likes to get on this. And I get it because it helps spread the word and all that good stuff. But your marketing people need to be spreading the word about the game. Your reviewers, right? Then they do have plenty. I got to give it to them. They sent the prototype copies out to a lot of people. Not me because I'm tiny, but a lot of people. So they've done their due diligence on marketing, but I would have liked to have seen them do something different as far as stretch goals. With as much money as they've made off of this campaign, unlocking these stretch goals are a bare minimum of things that they should do. And you see here it's talking about the active quest. Oh, and yeah, 12,000 points of damage done to it out of the 15,000 HP. And if he's defeated, he will be unlocked. But you have to do the like, share, tag, 10 points. Liking on Instagram, 5 points. Now, they did get these, which were 3,000, but I think, would they get that? Times 2. So maybe 6,000 points done to it. So half of it was done by stretch goals or people just backing. And then the rest of that has been done by liking and sharing. It's going to be hard pressed to get that thing filled out and get the rest of them unlocked. At most, I think they're only going to unlock this stretch goal. Maybe one more, but that would be pressing it. And then you can see the rest of the videos. Rado, obviously, is excellent. Everybody knows him. He does really good. Haven't seen The King of Average. I should probably watch him. Board Game Cove, watch a little bit of theirs. Beastie Geeks and Man vs. Meeple. People don't really like One Stop Co-op Shop. He does real good job. Definitely like him. And some of these others I do not know, but they are in different countries, so I'm obviously not going to know. But anyway, that's the gist of the game. You can see the rest of the information is the shipping down here at the bottom, and all this stuff is just going over the components, the game highlights, talking about the sector system, which I was explaining to you guys just a little bit earlier, and then showing off some of the components. If you are interested into games like Monster Hunter, or if you like Kingdom Death Monster, you've played that, then Primal is definitely one you should probably check out. You really only need to check it out, though, if you've got a significant amount of spare funds available, because this one is going to hurt your wallet fairly significantly. I think it's going to be good. All the reviews I've seen so far have been relatively positive. Looks like this is one that people are definitely going to be enjoying. I know I would probably get a kick out of it if I end up backing it myself. It's not going to come until next year, unfortunately, which when they say March of 2022, you might as well put that into winter of 2022, because nobody ever meets their damn goal. I wish they would estimate how long they think it's going to take, right? If they think we could meet March, then say August or September, right? Put more realistic date down so you can allot time for those shipping delays, or when COVID strikes point 2, or more, what was it, killer hornets, or murder hornets. Those things were going around for a little while. Whenever something happens, that way that delay is already built in there. And if you end up just shipping early, then people are just happy, right? Because if, let's say that they don't make it by March, but they make it by July, right? But you had August or September down, well, then people are happy because they think they got it a month early or 2 months early. But if they think March and they don't get it until July, then they're upset because they're a few months behind. They think you're late. So always estimate this number later. It's not going to change anything on when you're going to get the game. The games are going to come when it's going to come. But if you estimate later, that mentality makes a difference, whether the customer thinks they got it late or they think they got it early. Just my personal 2 cents on it. All right, but yeah, you guys check out this game if you're interested. Definitely looks like a good one to check out, especially if you are into games like Monster Hunter. All right, y'all take care. I will catch you in the next one.